And good morning at 7:03 on this Wednesday, October 16th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company. Our guest host today, Judge Barry Tatum.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Coleman and Company on this little damp Wednesday morning. And if you're like me and got up around 4 o'clock, it was about 10 degrees warmer, maybe even a little more than that when I think about 4:45, there were some gusty winds came through and the temperatures dropped, and I thought the rain was over, but we've got one of those little trailing showers that's following the front. But nonetheless, it's a bright morning here in Studio B at WANT, and on Wednesday mornings we have a representative from Cedar Stone Bank. Don't have them in person, but got the next best thing on the phone. Good morning, Bob McDonald.
Judge, good morning. Thank you for letting me join you by phone. Once we wrap up my 7 minutes of glory here, I've got to step into a meeting, but thanks for letting me join you by phone. I always appreciate Billy doing this whenever this need arises.
Well, you know, I kind of panic. I haven't been around the radio station anywhere near like Coleman, and Bill comes in and he says, you know, we got somebody on the phone, just need to press the button. I just lean back and let Bill do it because he can do it in his sleep. And
oh, yeah, he's got all that figured out, and whenever I call in, I always worry that I've called the wrong number or no one's going to hear it and they won't answer, so I'm always thankful when they do.
Well, Bill and MJ and everybody here at the station knows what's going on, and when you or I or someone else is sitting as a guest at Coleman, we're really at their mercy, and we thank them for that. But, of course, you're the president and chief executive officer of Cedar Stone Bank. Cedar Stone's been a presence in our community now for going on a dozen years or more?
Tell you what, Barry, we were 15 years old this past April. Oh. So that April marked our 15th anniversary. It's hard to believe it's been 15 years. It seems like it was just yesterday that we were starting this institution, and it's been so much enjoyment doing what we do. We have great people. We have great customers. We have great shareholders. We have a great board of directors, and so banking's a people business, Judge, and we're real pleased with the people who we have with our company.
And of course, that's at all three of your locations in Lebanon and Mount Juliet, and a great location down in Donaldson. And
yes.
We
like to call it the Highway 70 corridor. We have locations on Highway 70 all the way from Lebanon to Donaldson, and we're just real pleased with our locations and our buildings. Mike Manis, as you will remember, is our architect, and he designed our buildings, and we still get great comments and compliments on the work that he did, because he did a great job at kind of giving our name and our brand a nice visual. So we're real thankful for Mike for the fine work that he did.
Well, it's got that continuity, and speaking of continuity, I know you and Coleman from time to time talk about the Federal Reserve and projections for our economy, and you know, with everything that's going on nationally and internationally in our world, and with the housing markets, what do you see on the horizon, or what are you hearing anyway?
Well, it's been the last 18 months have been what I'll call very complicated in terms of trying to understand the economy. Economic conditions, Judge, as you know, have just been so sporadic. I mean, we're in the middle of our budget season. We'll be wrapping up budgets here soon for 2020. This time last year, the Fed was predicting 3 to 4 interest rate increases in 2019. And, of course, we've seen virtually no increases. We had an increase, I believe, in the first quarter of 2019, but we saw a decrease in rates a few weeks ago. So, it's a very complicated economic environment. Some expect another decrease before the year end, which I think would be just fine. The economy's doing very good.
Bob,
consumer confidence is good. Manufacturing is good. Retail sales are good. And the stock market's doing really well. So, but it wouldn't hurt to have one more decrease just to make sure that we can sustain the economic activity that we're having.
Well, I see those things on the news, but I don't have the experience or the education and the insight to be able to predict the future. And it sounds like if you had people last year predicting 3 or 4 rate increases for 2019, maybe their crystal ball was a little cloudy too.
I'd say it was. I'd say there's a number of things hit the economy that were not expected. Some of the trade issues that have been going on. Certainly the political environment was one that I doubt many people expected. So there's a number of unusual circumstances that might be impacting the economy. But again, overall, we can be very pleased. We have a strong real estate sector here in Wilson County and in your listening area, and real estate sales, both existing homes and new homes, are going very well. People are investing in their homes. They're doing remodels, and so we're seeing just a lot of activity out there. It's very diversified, which we're blessed to have in this area.
Well, something that you don't have to speculate on or guess about is where you can get simply free checking, because that's been something that's been consistent with Cedar Stone from day one.
Well, it's been the cornerstone of our bank, Judge, and we believe that the checking account's the most important banking account, the most important product, and we think everyone needs a check. They're older, like you and me, or whether they're just getting out of high school. And ours is completely free, Judge. It's a free checks and free online banking and with bill pay. It's free internet banking, free telephone banking. You can use our ATM anywhere in the world, and it's free. We've had a lot of customers, Judge, who've been traveling abroad this summer, and they've been using their Cedar Stone ATM card or debit card all over the world. They've been all over Europe. We've had folks in Australia. We've had folks in Africa. And so we are delighted to see the Cedar Stone card used all across the world.
Well, that's some good advertising, and we appreciate your support of Coleman and Company. Of course, 3 locations: Lebanon, Mount Juliet, and Donaldson. And anybody looking for some free checking or some friendly customer service and customer support, give y'all a call. Last word, Bob?
No, sir, that's it. Great job this morning, Judge. Always a pleasure to be with you.
All righty, Bob. Have you a good day.
You too. Take care.
And with that, Bob's about right. He said 7 minutes of fame on here with the radio, and it's been about 7 minutes that he's been on the air. So we'll go to our guest, who's here for the excuse me. We'll hang up. See, I can pick up a phone and hang up. We've got a representative here from Cumberland University to talk about an event that's coming up this Saturday, not this Saturday. That's going to be...
Yes, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, October 17th. And Rick Bell, good morning to you.
Good morning, Judge.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. Just glad to be here on the radio before I go teach class this morning.
Well, when you saw me pull up and realized that Coleman wasn't going to be here, you probably had a sinking feeling.
I knew you do a great job. And actually, I was sitting here thinking that you sound a lot like Coleman.
Well, as long as we don't look alike. No, Coleman's kept his hair a lot longer than I have.
Well, I know how you feel.
And I think is in a lot better shape than I am. But I appreciate you saying that. But, Cumberland's such a presence in our community. Last week when I was guest hosting out here, we had the Notes from Nursing program that's coming up, I believe, this Saturday.
It is.
To support the nursing school. But Cumberland's been a presence in our community for, 150, 170 years?
Oh, 175 years.
175 years.
1842, so.
Is when it started. And the original location of the campus was not where it is today.
It's not. The original location was on College Street. Many people probably remember where Dr. Bryant's office was. It was up there in that block,
right.
College Street. And then during the Civil War, it was burned. And then in 1892, we got our new campus where we are now. Memorial Hall was built. The McLean family, that was their farm, and they donated that land.
Was that part of the McLean School family?
It was. McLean Street, McLean School, a lot of things are named in their honor here. And actually, we just opened our new entrance, and that's the McLean entrance.
It comes right down the street there, just the same block where McLean
It does, yeah.
A lot of people don't remember the McLean School. You and I do.
They don't. And I went to school there. My brother, my mom went there, and it was a great school.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great.
Well, I remember, after you get your driver's license and you don't particularly have anywhere to go, but you just drive around. I remember when school would let out, they'd put the markers out there on the double yellow line. You'd have a crossing guard and kids walking up and down the sidewalk.
Oh, it was there right next to the library, and I can remember it didn't have air conditioning, but it had great teachers, and sometimes they would walk us down the street to the Capitol Theater to watch a movie. That was a good day.
That was a field trip.
It was.
And there was if I remember correctly, there was a little marketer store right there on the corner.
It was
where the library, across from the library, and you could stop in and get snacks or drinks. But
oh yeah.
Good friend of mine was talking about when she was in the second grade, I think, that she started walking or riding her bike from her home a few blocks away down to McLean School, and just thought, boy, times have changed. Would you let your second grader walk that far down the street?
I hate that building got torn down. We have historic preservation now, and that was something that got away from us that we shouldn't let get away.
Yeah. Well, it was a classic building, a well-built building, and of course, there's an office building where it sits now, and Cedar Stone Academy is built on the old campus, so it still has an education purpose.
It does.
But when we come back from our word from our sponsors and a traffic report, we'll talk about the event that's coming up tomorrow on the campus of Cumberland University, which is kind of a theme-related event for this month.
She's taken care of you your whole life. Now it's your turn to take care of her. But with a family of your own and other responsibilities, there just aren't enough hours in the day. That's why it might be time to call the Pavilion Senior Living. From bathing, dressing, housekeeping, and meals, the Pavilion Senior Living is committed to being senior living you can trust for your loved one. Find out more at pavilionseniorliving.com or call 444-5556. That's 444-5556.
Another AFC battle this week as Phillip Rivers and the Chargers come to Nissan Stadium to battle the Titans. This Sunday, the award-winning Titans Countdown is on the air at 2 o'clock. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, and Coach Dave McGinnis brings Titans and Chargers with a kickoff set for 3:05.
Brought to you by Absolute Kubota Exmark, Bates Ford, Fakes and Hooker, Steamwell Plumbing, and the Jewelers.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
Now you can get a great-looking cut in less time every time with an Exmark. The Mowers Landscape Pros trust 2-to-1 over the next best-selling brand of mowers. Step up to the Radius, the next great zero-turn rider from Exmark. Now available for as little as $4,999 with attractive financing offers, too. Check out the Exmark Radius today at Absolute Kubota, 1325 West Main Street in Lebanon. Exmark, ready to work for you.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. Barry Tatum substituting for Coleman, who's on special assignment. And thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. We were talking before the break with Rick Bell, man who wears many hats, professor at Cumberland.
Professor at Cumberland, a city historian, former city councilor, and my wife is the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. So we do a lot of things.
So active, certainly, in our community, both currently and I suspect great presence in the future, and a good perspective on what's happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the history of Cumberland. It was located up there on College Street, and I guess what would be East Spring Street originally. But Memorial Hall was built in 1892.
1892, yes.
And when you have a facility like that that's been around for a long time, you start developing some ideas about what might be in the past. You've got an event coming up called?
Well, it's Ghosts and Goblets, and it is tomorrow night from 7 to 10 up in Baird Chapel. And it's one of the most fun events we have on campus. It's in honor of Monty Pope. And Monty taught history at Cumberland for over 20 years. He was my mentor.
You had him as a teacher?
I did. He was my teacher, and he was also my colleague. And he taught me a lot about history, but also how to teach and how to mentor students. He was a person who loved students, and they all loved him. But every Halloween, he would give a haunted tour of Cumberland for the students. And he put on a top hat and a cape, and he would walk around campus and tell them the ghost stories at Cumberland. And and students just loved it. So he passed away a few years ago, and in his honor, we started this event where people can come to campus. Bear Chapel is decorated in a very spooky way, and people can take the tours, and also take part in some spirits as well.
When you say spirits, you're talking about the goblet.
The goblets. We have a whiskey tasting, and the whiskey's provided by Market Basket Liquors, and so you can go in there, taste some spirits, and then walk around campus and hear about some spirits too.
And you probably, if you have enough spirits, you can probably see a few.
A few. Yeah. I'll probably see a few. And you could also wear a costume if you like, but if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. But, Monty collected a lot of stories, about Cumberland and its past and some of the more spooky aspects of it. But, and you'll hear all those stories tomorrow night.
Well, it's a thing that's interesting. You run across people, and if you take the time to look back, you can see how their careers overlapped. Mm-hmm. And, the one name that comes to mind is Frank Burns from years ago. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Stockton, I remember when his presidency ended suddenly in the early 80s, I guess. Yeah. And you look at people whose careers overlapped. Your career's overlapped with Monty Pope's.
Oh, yes.
And so I suspect there's somebody out there whose career is overlapping with yours. You may not realize it right now.
You're right. When I started at Cumberland 18 years ago, I was the youngest teacher there. It was me and Monty Pope and Jim Dressler. And, I was the kid on the block, and now there's 5 of us, and I'm the oldest one. so I've lived a little history at Cumberland now, so I understand it.
Well, and if from a historian's perspective, and I'm not a historian, and I have an interest in reading it and hearing about it, but certainly not trained or skilled like you and your colleagues are. It's a shame that you can't preserve that in a way where it's just such common knowledge as to what happened at this period of time and so forth.
It is, and I hear people all the time say that, in school they didn't like history, but now they do.
Yeah.
And I really believe you have to live a little of it before you really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And my students, I try to instill in them the importance of history and help them understand that where we are now didn't just happen overnight. It took a lot of people, before us that brought us here. And I really believe history it's not about presidents and leaders, and obviously they're important, but history is really made up by everyday people living their lives and building communities and building relationships.
One of the things I thought would be interesting, it's not possible to do it, would be able to go back, pick a decade or some era and live for a week in that time.
Oh, yeah.
And see how it was for people to live. And, it hasn't been that long before our rural areas had no electricity. It's been less than 100 years.
Well, my dad, grew up in Salisbury, which is in the eastern part of Wilson County, and he had no electricity, no plumbing, no running water.
They got it now, don't they?
They do now,
yeah.
but he didn't then. The road was gravel, and their phone was on a party line. So, times have changed quickly. Yeah. It has been that long ago since we've been in another era.
Well, I ran across, you recall Peggy Williams, who was a city attorney for a period of time. She had a fee schedule sheet from when she first started practicing law, and it was outdated by the time she was licensed, but it had a fee schedule sheet, and the county court clerk at the time was a fellow with the last name of Coe, like Jesse Coe. Mm-hmm. And I can't find anybody who remembers him, but the fee for representing somebody in a capital murder case, death penalty case, was $500. And that was the recommended fee. Jack Lowry, I guess, is the most senior attorney in Wilson County now. I made a copy for Jack, had it laminated, and asked him about it. And he said, I don't remember this. This is way before me. And, of course, Jack denies anything.
Oh, yeah.
that's way back. But he wasn't familiar with the county court clerk being a person named Coe. He remembered Curry Dotson, who was the county court clerk before Turner Evans.
Yeah.
And but he was unfamiliar with him. So that's something that I may get you a
We'll
copy
have to look
of.
into that and see what we can find out.
I looked in Frank Burns' history of Wilson County.
Which is a great book.
And I didn't find his name in there. But
Yeah.
there again, I don't have the historical skills.
We'll see what we can find out.
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about just
Yeah.
rambling topics here, but more specifically, tomorrow night's event, what time does it start?
Well, it starts at 7 and goes till 10. Tickets are $60 per person, $100 per couple, and you can go to the Cumberland website and buy tickets. You can also call Judy Crocco at 615-547-1269 to buy tickets as well. She's in the Cumberland directory on the website. And we're really raising money for two things. One is the Monty and Pace Pope Scholarship for students, and the other one is the Monty Pope Lecture Series on Jacksonian America. Monty was expert in Andrew Jackson in that time period, and in honor of him, we're bringing a lot of historians on the campus to talk about that era. But as I said, tomorrow night is a great event. You hear a lot of stories about ghosts and hauntings at Cumberland, but also you hear a lot about Cumberland history as well, because you walk around campus, go to all the buildings, and hear about the events that happened there. Because, as you said, Cumberland is a really important part of this community, and it has a really interesting history, and you'll learn that tomorrow night too.
Well, it's an asset. It's the only of all the communities in Middle Tennessee, the ones particularly around Nashville, it's the only one that has a private liberal arts school. And then another thing, the Tennessee Promise that's come out.
Yes.
Dr. Stum and the board and I'm sure a lot of others that I'm not aware of have made it a point to make Cumberland's education accessible and affordable.
It is, and people don't realize we accept Tennessee Promise, and we don't charge extra on top of that either. We accept the money, and you can come there.
And the student population has grown tremendously in the 18 years.
It has.
When you were a student there, what was the enrollment?
I first went to Cumberland in '87, and there were probably less than 200 students at Cumberland.
Really?
Then now we have almost 2,600. We've grown tremendously in the past 3 or 4 years. Tennessee Promise has helped that. We offer our graduate degrees in all kinds of areas. We have a lot of very skilled faculty members, experts in all kinds of fields. And I just want people to realize that, that Cumberland is a place where a lot of good work is going on, not just in history, but all kinds of subjects.
Well, it's not only about an academic perspective, but it's also about being a good person, somebody who contributes to your community. And realizing the tie-in that you have there.
And Cumberland is good at that. We're out in the community. We're members of the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club,
Chamber of Commerce,
and we're involved in as much as we can possibly be involved in. And what people don't realize too is that a lot of our students who move here from other places, we have from other countries and a ton of states, is a lot of them choose to stay. And have families here and start businesses and work here, and that's a real asset too.
Well, I don't know their names, but there are a couple of your students who I stop in at Baskin Robbins from time to time and get me an ice cream treat. And I was down there a couple of weeks ago while they were making up my order. You had 2 of your students were there.
Yeah.
And I could overhear their conversation and ask them where they were from after I could figure out they were students. And it's so good to see young people come in that are polite, respectful, and you can tell that it's a serious endeavor. Being away from home.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time and not acting like somebody's not watching. They're acting like somebody's watching, doing well. It's good to see.
Well, and a lot of our students provide a workforce too. One of my students works at Panera. I had one check me out at Publix the other day. My wife, Nicole, owns Beauty Boutique. She has 2 or 3 Cumberland students at her place of business. And our students are all over town, and if you see a car going down the street with a red sticker on back with Memorial Hall on it, that is somebody from Cumberland.
All right. But the event tomorrow, you can get them online. You can call. What if you show up at the door?
If you show up at the door, we'll welcome you. You can buy a ticket there. Again, it's great fun. We'll have great whiskey to taste, and Natalie Emmon, one of our teachers, she gives the tour, and she's great at it.
Is it a come and go thing, or are you there?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be. The tours start at specific times, but if you just want to show up and socialize, you can do that too.
And it goes from 7 to 10 tomorrow night, and find out a little bit about the spookier side of Cumberland.
And it can get spooky.
And your buildings over there, I'm just trying to do it from memory. Memorial Hall, I guess, is your oldest. Labrie Hall.
Labrie Hall is...
Which used to be the gymnasium.
We have the Vice Library, of course.
There's an older house that's just east of the student center, the cafeteria.
We have the Rudy House. We have Bone Hall, which is an older house. We have the Heidel Fine Arts Center, the Phillips Cafeteria. Our new Learning Commons used to be a dorm.
Right.
There's some stories about that place. And we'll go into some other dorms too. So, you will get to see all of campus if you come tomorrow night.
Well, it's not one of these where somebody's going to try to scare you and give you a heart attack.
Oh, no.
It's an educational thing, a fun time.
It's just stories.
All right. Well, Rick Bell, thank you for so much for sharing your personal story and stories about Cumberland, which I know is close to your heart. And the event tomorrow night, Ghosts and Goblets, in memory of Monty Pope, longtime professor at Cumberland, starts tomorrow, Thursday from 7 to 10. It's come and go. Have a hors d'oeuvres and a whiskey tasting, and you can take ghost tours of the campus. A great time. So try to check it out.
This is Bob McDonough with Cedar Stone Bank. We know there are times when financial circumstances can be complicated for families and businesses, but we do not believe the solutions need to be. That's why for 15 years we've been delivering simple banking to our customers while still offering all services and products. We're thankful for our customers and the communities that we serve. If you don't bank with us, it would be our pleasure to visit with you and talk about how simple banking is simply better.
Cedar Stone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You make plans for just about everything for the weekend, for a shopping trip, for your daughter's wedding, but do you have a financial strategy for the rest of your life? Now may be the perfect time to do it. Waypoint, your future, your way. For more information, call the Lebanon office of Waypoint Financial Partners at 615-444-6548. Securities and investment advisory services offered through AXA Advisors, LLC. 212-314-4600. Member FINRA SIPC.
Hi, everybody. Tommy Bryan. Join me every Friday at 6:30. Lebanon High Football takes on some of the very best competition, brought to you by Absolute Kubota, D.T. McCall & Sons, K. Maynard State Farm Insurance, Bakes and Hooker, Lebanon Police Chief Mike Justice, Wilson County Sheriff Robert Bryan, Wilson Bank and Trust, Dickey's Barbecue Pit, and A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction. Lebanon entertains Stewart's Creek, Friday, October 18th. Hi, everybody. It's Tommy Bryan. Tune in on Saturdays throughout the fall as Cumberland University's Phoenix takes on the very best in small college football. The Phoenix will host the University of the Cumberland Saturday, October 19th. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Join me and Bob Lee Saturdays during the college football season right here on WANT and WCOR.
A few clouds early on will give way to mainly sunny skies for your Wednesday. However, it will be a little chilly, around 15 degrees below what we saw yesterday. Highs will climb into the lower 60s this afternoon. Now, if you're going to be out and about tonight, no problems weather-wise. We'll see clear skies with lows in the lower 40s. We do stay sunny for the rest of the work week. That's your forecast. I'm meteorologist Nisa Lomax.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. This is Barry Tatum, substituting for Coleman, who's on special assignment. We're ready to start the second half of the Coleman Show, which is sponsored by Absolute Rental and Supply. And we have the founder, originator, driver, maintenance, clerk, owner,
janitor, whatever it takes.
Taxpayer, everything. Philip Etherly. Good morning, Philip.
Morning, Barry. How are you?
I'm doing well. And we were talking off the air. I mentioned last week you got a piece of equipment from your little John Deere 450 dozer, and had a great time running that thing. It's a great piece of equipment.
Yeah, it really has been. It's a great unit. Good medium size, but good stout enough to do some work as well.
Well, you know, James Wright, you know, the bulldozer operator's been around for years and years.
My hero.
He says that you can move as much stuff with that 450 as you can with a D6.
He's ran that machine an awful lot, and he absolutely loves it. He is a great man, a great operator.
Well, he's a really good fella, and he did some dozer work for my dad back in the day. And if he's one of those guys, kind of like Billy, operating this electronic equipment. If it's got something to do with dozer work or earth moving, he can do it in his sleep.
He can, and I tell you what, at 85, 86 years old, I still put him up against anybody. He still loves running.
Yeah.
Still loves doing it.
Yeah. But what do you want to talk about this morning with Absolute?
Well, we're in the aeration time. It's been very busy. We finally got some rain, got some moisture in the ground, get some more rain today. So the people who have been able to aerate and overseed and fertilize, it's been great. This rain coming in is really going to help that. But we're still got plenty of time. UT Ag Extension Office says prime seed time for fescues from the middle of September till the end of October. So we still have plenty of time to get your seed in. And the aerations I ask everybody to call and make a reservation on these aerators because they are going in and out daily. And, normally if you make a reservation, we can fit you in and get you scheduled on one.
When you see those aerators sitting there, or any piece of equipment, it's not making any money. It's not doing its purpose there. So you like to see those things coming and going.
I like to see those things come and go, especially the aerators, because mainly it's a seasonal deal. It's twice a year,
right?
Spring and fall. And so the rest of the time, in the dead of winter and all summer long, they're just sitting there.
Thinking, why have I got this thing?
Exactly. So we want to see them going in and out. But it is time, and that is a big push. We're getting some moisture in the ground now, and that's good. We needed it. We needed a lot of rain. And so, but there's still time. We're selling a lot of concrete sealer right now. People are still pressure washing their driveways and getting them sealed. And of course, our mulches, it's prime time to do that. All the the fall cleanup and the sprucing up you want to do. We're getting into that season, as well as I took a reservation on an aerial lift yesterday for somebody who's going to be putting up Christmas lights.
I was about to ask you if, we're getting to that time where people do start decorating.
Exactly. This guy made a reservation. I think it was for November 18th or something like that. So he's thinking ahead, but it is getting that time of year.
So it's always a good idea to call and reserve something.
Exactly.
And whether the weather is going to cooperate or not, you can cancel. There's no charge for doing that.
All right, that's correct. There's no charge for cancellation. But our main goal is to have that equipment there when you need it.
And as Coleman and you have come up with, you got everything from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers, and you've talked about the things that are seasonal and popular right now. Anything else that you see that's saying, hey, nobody else has got one of these things, but I would like to tell you about?
I can't think of anything right off the hand on that. We do have a lot of new equipment that we're constantly getting in. One thing we've added recently is what they call a mini excavator. We've had the mini excavators being in the 6,000 to 8,000 pound unit, right, all the way up to the 12,000 pound unit. Now we have a unit that's 3,500 pounds. And so it's a little more convenient for those small jobs, narrow. You got to get through a small gate. This thing has retractable tracks that go in and out.
Really?
It only weighs like 3,500 pounds. One of the big features too is you can pull this with a half-ton truck. And I know that's a lot of times people get a little aggravated with us because we require so much equipment, a 3/4 ton truck or larger. But for safety, that's what you need to have on the larger equipment. But this one you can actually pull with a half-ton truck.
So it's a mini excavator.
Exactly.
So it's like a backhoe on tracks.
Well, no, it's got the track. Yes, the tracks with the push blade, just like the excavators.
Yeah.
But no bucket per se as far as lifting and carrying material. A digging bucket only.
Yeah.
But it's just a smaller version, and we've had it probably about 2 to 3 weeks, and it's been a very popular item already.
I bet it has because you get into a tight spot there.
It really does. Like I say, especially people getting in with so many subdivisions with gated backyards and all that stuff. These units can get in and out very easily, and they don't weigh very much, so they don't tear up any ground or anything like that.
Well, of course, Absolute's got the one location down there on Main Street. Huge sign, can't miss it. Tell us what it's close to, where you turn.
Yeah, I always we laugh and tell people if a lady calls in and asks him where we are, I'll say, "Are you familiar with Ruby Tuesdays?" And they, "Oh yeah. Well, we're right in behind that." And if a man calls in, where Advanced Auto Parts in Valvoline is. "Oh yeah, we're right in behind that." So it is very easily found. And normally you can always look up and see the sign. Like we say, the Kubota tractors are out in front everywhere, so it's very easily to see.
And the telephone number 615-443-7368, but you like to use
443-RENT.
R-E-N-T.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Philip Etherly, thank you for your time with Absolute here, and thank you for sponsoring this second segment of Coleman Company, and you'll get to see the real deal, I hope, next Wednesday.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. And with that, it's about 21 minutes before the hour, and we have our guest for the second half. I want to thank Coleman because when he calls to ask you to guest host, he says, well, this is who I have lined up. And if he doesn't, he says, I will get someone. And but this morning, he could probably just start saying a few words and people would recognize your voice. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Judge. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. Mayor Bernie Ash, who's with us today. And I don't know if there was anything in particular that we wanted to talk about, so I grabbed a newspaper this morning.
Uh-oh.
And it says, Lebanon increases hotel motel tax.
Got it right down here.
And you've got it on your list of things to talking about, not to surprise you or anything like that, but I try to keep up with what's going on with the city, but you have to keep up with what's going on with the city. That's your job.
That's my job, and I try to do it. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not, but we try to keep up with what's going on.
Well, before we get into the details, I haven't had a chance to sit and talk with you. This might not be the appropriate place, but you had a little health scare in the last year, but you look as good as I've ever seen you.
Actually, it's been over a year ago now. And you're exactly right. I feel better than I have in a long, long time. But I had a heart, had a valve job done.
Okay.
Replaced a valve in my heart. And that was a tough surgery, but it was very successful, and I'm feeling great.
Well, you know, you and your wife were out at Snow White here a few weeks ago. I saw you out there eating supper, and you were eating healthy. You're eating healthy.
Yeah, well, that we saw somebody else.
And but and your loved ones and a bunch of other people are scared, but you look great.
It was a little bit of a scare, but we got through it just fine.
And but the city kept on moving along, and of course it's growing like crazy.
Oh man, it's growth everywhere. I heard a story the other day I thought was funny. A guy told me he saw a dump truck, or he was following a dump truck, and a clod of dirt fell out in the road. Said he came by the next morning, they were building a house on it.
That may be an exaggeration.
A little bit, maybe.
Because the permitting process, I know, takes longer than that.
A little bit.
But as far as what you're seeing with the city, I mean, this is, I guess, what you would call a good time because it seems like there's it's not in an economic downturn. You have to be fiscally responsible, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, compared to how it was, say, 10, 12 years ago when the housing market had gone belly up, it's a good time to be in administration of the city.
It is, but it's also a double-edged sword for the city, for any government. We're happy to see the growth. We could probably stand for it to slow down a little bit. But what people don't understand is that when you're having this growth, they think, well, everything's growing, a lot of houses going up. City and county must be making a lot of money off property taxes. Well, it's not exactly right. There's a lag time there. And I read in a magazine the other day that it takes about 4 to 5 years for the taxes to catch up with the expenditures that you have to have because of the growth. Now, we had a little double lick because we just came out of the recession in 08, and the previous administration had to lay off some people, and rightfully so. I mean, it was the right thing to do because you had to do something. But now that things are growing, services are coming back up, and we have to have people, which is a huge expense, and equipment. And when we build something, just like when you're building your house now, cost has gone through the roof with contractors and material, all of that. So.
Well, it's you know, cost of increase. That's part of it. My grandparents would have a fit if they knew I was paying for water. You know,
exactly.
Much less what a cell phone costs.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
That's just the price of it. But one thing I do want to ask you about, and I mentioned this to Councilman Joey Carmack during the summer, and I mean, this is not a particular, at least you're not having to smell it. I could smell the sewer plant. Yeah. And I didn't know if it was because there needs to be an expansion there or whether there was some, Mr. Councilman Carmack was telling me that there needed some new pieces of equipment. He said those have been put in place.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you talk about infrastructure. It's more than just roads.
Exactly. And people don't, if you don't see it, you don't really think about it. But if you turn the water on in the morning, the water's coming out of the faucet, water plant's doing their job. But it happens with the sewers. Sewers a big, not a problem. I mean, we make it work. It happens every day.
Right.
But if something breaks down over there, you're pretty close to the water treatment plant, you probably go smell something.
Well, in the summertime when you'd have those still nights when there wasn't a breeze blowing, or maybe a light wind out of the north, and I'm 2 or 3 miles away as a crow flies, I could catch a whiff, and I thought, what in the world? I said, have we gotten so far ahead of our growth that we need to expand or redo our sewer plant?
I don't think that was the problem over there. We had some filters go down, and it takes a while to get those things reordered and working and equipped and all that. And as far as I know, everything's working good today. I live closer than you do to it. I keep an eye on it.
Well, that's part of your job.
It is,
Is driving around the city. I bet there's not a time that you drive from your office home or your office to a meeting somewhere that you're not watching what's going on the sidewalks and the streets.
Well, when it's your job, you pay attention more than you used to if you're just a citizen. And what's funny, my wife, now she pays attention. You need to fix that.
So you get that at home and you get it from work too?
I do,
Yeah, bless your heart.
Oh, my
bless your heart. And you got to hang up Christmas decorations here before long, I suspect.
It won't be long at all, and we've got some very old Christmas decorations, and those things are really expensive now.
We call those vintage.
Vintage, okay. Vintage. We have some very vintage decorations.
Well, we'll talk about that and the stuff that's going on with the city council meeting when we come back from a word from our sponsors.
If you're a fan of Wilson County High School football, make sure to tune in to the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show every Friday after the Lebanon High football game right here on WANT 98.9. Hi, I'm John Boyce. Trent Perry and myself will have all the mid-state scores as well as interviews from each coach within the county. The Scoreboard Show is brought to you by Designers Carpet, Fakes and Hooker, Lebanon Appliance, Mitch's Landscape and Design, Palometto's Insurance, Kenny Salas and Justin Davis with Blackwell Realty, and Sammy Bees. The Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show every Friday night.
This is Philip Etherly with Absolute Rental and Supply. Whether it's cleaning, painting, remodeling, or simply getting better organized, we have the tools and equipment to get the job done. Scaffolding, paint sprayers, ladders, power saws, portable heaters, temporary lighting, generators, hardwood floor staplers, from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers, Absolute Rental has what you need. Call 615-443-RENT. Absolute Rental and Supply. We have what you need.
Gregory Dental in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from University Medical Center. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on a compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Welcome back to Coleman & Company on WAMT 98.9. Barry Taylor substituting for Coleman Walker, who's on special assignment, as we like to say. I got a text message during the break from a friend says, I sound taller on the radio. and I'm flattered to hear that. But we're talking with Mayor Bernie Ash, mayor of the city of Lebanon, and had a city council meeting last night.
We did.
And any fireworks or controversies, long meeting, short meeting? Tell us a little
it seems
bit
like there's always some kind of controversy or something, but last night was pretty smooth meeting. Which they before we had a lot of complaints about the sound in the town meeting hall.
Yes.
And we just recently spent $35,000 to redo the sound system in the city, in the town hall. And it's really nice. People can actually hear now. We had a lot of the council people don't want to speak directly into the microphone. Now we can pick them up anywhere.
So those little side conversations, if somebody wanted to, they could hear what's being said.
You need to be careful.
People tell me that all the time. But $35,000 for a state-of-the-art sound system.
Yeah, and they did. They redid the video system also. So.
And the video system, that's part of what's on Wilson County Television with, what, channel 198?
198, I believe. Now, you can see the meetings on Facebook now.
Okay.
And the picture quality and sound quality is much better. I hate to say that about Charter, but than the 198.
Right. And but you get to see that. And I know in the past you could watch the meetings, but it was like there was just one camera or two, and it was hard to follow the action that was going on.
It is. We've got a new camera too. I'm not sure if I think it may follow. I'm not sure, but anyways, a lot better than it used to be.
Well, a little sidelight. We need to get you on with our Talking with Tatum little tape TV show that we do to talk about a little bit about you and about what you see happening with the city. But had a headline on the paper this morning, talked about a hotel motel tax, and for a resident in Lebanon, that I guess really doesn't impact me or you.
No, unless you're in the habit of going to staying at a hotel every night, it's not going to impact you. And we're not really gouging. I've heard that you gouge, you just raise taxes, you're doing it again. The hotel motel tax for the city has been at 2% for a long, long time. The county has been at either 4 or 5. I forget which, and then Mount Jude was at either 4 or 5. It's one or the other, but they've had their hotel motel tax raised have been higher for some time. The 2% tax that we have now, it goes to the general fund where we can pay the police and work on the water.
The city general fund.
The city general fund, yeah. The additional 2% tax that brings us up with the city and the county, we're still under Mount Jude, I believe, but that 2% goes toward economic development and tourism.
Okay.
I think our primary goal was, we're building I want to build a sports complex out on 231 South.
Right.
And that will be for the entire city. However, we will do some tournament play there, which brings in a lot of money. I really didn't realize how many people did travel ball.
It's everywhere.
It's
amazing.
amazing.
A lot of money spent on that.
Yeah, and we are about this facility will be about 3 minutes from the interstate exit, which dumps that right on 231 South. Hotel, motels, restaurants, Walmart, all of those things are there, and they will benefit from that.
And then they move on and go back home, and you're not having to worry about what they call the education of the kids, although that's not the responsibility of the city, because
we don't do that.
Not in that, but you're not having to maintain fire service for them 365 days a year that they're here.
That's right. We love people to come to Lebanon. We love it when they leave.
Well, it's has ground broken on that sports complex yet?
No.
And I believe that's out on 231 as part of the old, what they call Comer Farm. Is that right?
It's just past the Coleman farm.
Okay.
Yeah, we were looking at property down around there, and this other property became available at a better price.
Okay.
So we jumped on the better price and got about 150 acres out there. It's mostly flat and level. And
that's not Mr. Bryant's old place.
It is.
Lelia Bryant.
It is.
Worked at DuPont with my dad for years.
I
and
didn't know.
Had a beautiful farm out there.
It is a beautiful farm, and the house is still out there. It's in very good shape, and we plan. We're going to make some use of that. We're not just going to tear that one down.
Mr. Bryant, my dad and I went up to the farm machinery show up in Louisville a couple of times and rode up there. Really nice guy, and he was one of those that always kept his fence rows picked clean. And
It's a beautiful farm.
Yeah. But city council meeting talked about the hotel motel tax, and what other issues did y'all have?
Well, one that's near and dear to my heart. I come out on Carver Lane every day.
Yeah.
And trying to get out on 70.
They ought to put a traffic light or something up there.
Funny you should mention that. there is a traffic light in progress. Now, it may be a year before we actually get the traffic light up. We're going to improve the turn lanes on that too. The other thing that we're going to do is there's a few apartments buildings being built out there,
Right.
and other construction on Carver Lane. Carver Lane's a nice road, but it's a little small.
Right.
A while back, we passed an ordinance that the developers out there who are building will put money into a fund to widen the road to take care of the increased traffic because of their developments.
Talking about on Carver Lane.
On Carver Lane, yeah. So we will be using that money along with some city money to widen Carver Lane and to build a turn lane and put up a traffic light out there. So it'll be, like I said, it'll be about a year, but there's going to be an improvement out there.
Well, I know Councilman Burton was responsible for the traffic light out here. Well, shouldn't say he's responsible for it, but he was a big proponent of the kind of traffic light out here on Bluebird and CL Manier.
Right.
And it seemed like it took it for months or maybe over a year to get that in. It's not an easy, quick process.
It is not. And I didn't realize until I got in the administration, started looking at traffic lights and things like that.
Right.
Those cantilevers that hold the light up, they don't warehouse those ready to go. It takes about 9 months to get those from ordered and in, and then construction can start on putting them up. Of course, we're spending about $1.8 million on Level Pike and Crowell Lane to put a light in there, not just a light, but also turn lanes and right there.
Well, that's gotten to be a tremendously busy intersection over the years.
It has.
A few evenings that I've come up Level Pike towards Lebanon, and I can only imagine what it's like in the morning. Traffic's backed up Crowell Lane for a while.
Yeah, I lived out on Level Pike for many, many years, but it is when there's an accident on the interstate, that's the route in.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're trying to get out, you got to wait.
Well, it's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of it's growth related, a lot of it's infrastructure related. But things have changed a lot in Lebanon in the last 200 years or so, Rick Bell says.
They have.
And y'all have got an event coming up next month.
Bicentennial event is going to be at the Expo Center on November 23rd. It's going to be an all-day thing. Come out and be a lot of things going on. We've had a few things during the year of the bicentennial to honor that and to remember those things. So.
Well, I remember in, I guess, 1976 when the nation's bicentennial occurred. There was a parade in Lebanon back then, and I've seen pictures from the, I guess they call it the sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial.
Back in 1969, would have been 50 years ago, and a lot of the folks with the city council and county and principals, they grew beards.
Yeah.
You haven't started on your beard yet.
No, we opted not to go that direction. but I was in the service at that time, but I saw the pictures too. Don Fox was the mayor, I think, back then, and saw them.
Tex-Matics.
Tex-Matics back then. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking about another where they grew beards.
Oh yeah, I forgot about they had the other one. 175.
175, I guess what it was. But oh yeah, I do remember the bicentennial. That's a big deal.
Yeah, but we're doing that this coming month. Or in November coming up, City Expo, and then I think probably an event at the City Council meeting. In the last 2 or 3 minutes that we have here on the show, anything else you wanted to talk about?
One thing I wanted to get in there, you mentioned traffic, and traffic has been a problem, and I hate to break it to you, but it's going to continue to be a problem. However, we have hired a traffic engineer. She works 3 days a week. She worked with Davidson County, or Nashville, Metro Nashville. I heard last night, I think they have 800 traffic lights. We have 50 something. She can handle the job and has been making several changes, and we have a grant to have a intelligent traffic signal installed, and that's going to take us probably another year or so to get that done. But there will actually be a control room that monitors what's going on at those traffic lights and can make adjustments to them.
Now, is that going to be manned by a person?
It will, yes.
So somebody's going to have to be at a desk looking at this, saying, I've got traffic back up here, pressing a button.
Right now, there will be 5 cameras to monitor and take care of that. Now, we've made other adjustments already. She was saying last night, every traffic box that we have operates on its own system, on its own timer, and just like your wristwatch, sometimes they get out of time and have to be readjusted. These are going to be, we have a fiber optics coming through, and these boxes will be hardwired, and that problem will be solved. So we're working on that all the time. There's no room to widen roads in the city anymore. We're now working on traffic signals.
Make it more efficient and hopefully run smoother.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's syncing the traffic systems or having somebody monitoring that. That wouldn't be a 24/7 job. It would only be during the crucial times, morning, noon,
probably
afternoon.
so. Probably so. Yeah.
And could fluctuate. Anything else you want to touch
on? Very quickly, talk about hiring a traffic engineer. We've also hired, been a little over a year now, a grant writer.
Okay.
And he's doing a great job and doing a lot of research. He's brought in a few small grants. We have a couple of big grants we're hoping to get, be a few $1 million to do sidewalks and trails with.
And that helps offset the cost to our taxpayers.
Absolutely.
Don't have to borrow money, don't have to issue bonds.
Yeah. One of these is like an 80-20 grant where the state pays 80%, we pay 20. One is a 95-5 grant.
I need to get somebody to do that with my mortgage.
I hear that.
All right. Mayor Ash, thank you so much for your time this morning, and thanks to our listeners for tuning in to Coleman and Company. And be sure and tune in tomorrow morning for another episode of Coleman and Company on WANT 98.9. And until then, have you a wonderful day.